still the entity tutor, and in today's it's a continuation of the course POL316, and we are going to be taking our bearing from what it means by variables. During the course of this course, we've been able to cover a lot, all right, and we have been discovering a whole lot about research work. So this course revolves around writing of research work, educating students on how research is being conducted or should be conducted politically. All right, so we are going through the intricacies, the nitty-gritty, the in-depth, in total, the pros and cons, all right, of what you need to understand as a student of political science when considering carrying out a research work. So from tonight, we're going to be taking our theory. In tonight's class, we're going to be taking our theory from what it means by variables. Now we'll talk about variables just before we go straight into the class. For those of us who are new to the stream, please ensure to subscribe to the channel. Let's also ensure, okay, let's also ensure to join the private class where we walk you through all courses throughout the semester without leaving any course unattended to. And how do you get to join the private class? All you need to do is to reach out to us on our official website, which is www.tutorio.net. Find the WhatsApp button in the top right corner and use that to send us a direct message. So now let's go straight into tonight's class. Okay. Now we'll talk about variables. What are we simply referring to? Variables, all right, is something okay, variables or variable. Variable is something that can change. Variable okay is something that can change. Okay, something that can change. Now, speaking of something that can change, we are talking of the likes of gender. All right, a typical example of something that can change, simply referring to gender. All right, and are typically focus of the study. But pay attention to this. Talk of variable, talking about something that can change. All right, talking of your age. All right, speaking of your age, changes from now and then. Speaking of weather, okay. So speaking of things that can change, they're referred to as variables. Now, according to ASICA is of the opinion that variables ASICA sees variable as a construct or concept which numerical value can be assigned. That is according to ASICA. a construct or concept which numerical value can be assigned. That is the view of a seeker. Are we together? So we have, okay, okay, I think it's better now. Just trying to adjust the camera because I notice it's kind of blurry. So we have, that is that. So a seeker is of the opinion that when we talk about variable, we're referring to a concept to which numerical values can be assigned. Okay, so now let's take a step further. Variables has certain characteristics. All right, some of these are there is a period. All right, variable is periodic. All right, one of the characteristics of variable is that it is periodic. There's a starting point and there's an ending point. Okay, it is periodic. It has a pattern. All right, it could start continuously, stop. It could be a thing of the week, it could be a thing of the day, it could be as long as possible. All right, variables are also, all right, there are certain details. You can give an overview of what it is all about. So now we have the importance, some of the importance of variables. All right, research scientists manipulate variables in order to test their hypothesis and learn more about how the world works. So it's easy to manipulate variables just to understand, all right, the research work. So now let's take a step further. So there are types of variables, okay, according to Silberstein. Silberstein is of the opinion that we have, that is, says we have the independent and the dependent variable. All right, dependent and the independent variable. Now, speaking of the dependent variable and the independent variable, the independent variable is the variable that scientists manipulate. Independent, all right, manipulates. These are variables scientists easily manipulate. While we have dependent variables, for dependent variables, these variables, all right, the dependent variable is a variable that changes as a result of the independent variable. So this is standing on its own. or this is attached to this. So therefore, it changes when its source changes. It changes, the dependent variable changes as a result of the independent variable. Okay, so we have that. Also, also we have the controlled variable. These kind of variables are the variables that scientists do not want to change. All right, they however help scientists in determining the effect of the stimulus. All right, effect of the stimulus applied to the experimental group. Control. They don't want to change because the scientists use it, all right, in determining the effect of the stimulus applied to the experimental group. Okay, so now let's classify variables by level of measurements. So by level of measurements, we have quantitative and qualitative variables. Quantitative, qualitative. All right, quantitative and qualitative variables by level of measurement. Just like we know, quantitative has to do with numerics. All right, and qualitative have nothing to do with numerics. Now, for continuous or quantitative variables, they are classified into quantitative variables. All right, they are those variables that differ in magnitude. Quantitative, quantitative differs in magnitude. All right, that is a quantitative variable. Differs in magnitude. We have the likes of income, all right, age, GNP, and the likes. So this can be further divided into four. We have, okay, the internal, continuous, all right, ratio, and okay, we actually have three here, categorized into three, I beg your pardon. So for the internal scale variable under the quantitative, all right, interval scale data has order and equal intervals, all right. They are measured based on linear scales. I want you to note here that interval scale variables are data that has equal intervals, while we have the continuous order variable. They occur when the measurements are continuous. Don't forget it's based on measurements now. The ratio scale variables, these are continuous positive measurements on a non-linear scale. Now, a typical example of this is the what? The growth of bacterial population. All right. So it's on a continuous positive measure of non-linear scale. That's for the ratio scale variable. Okay. So we have that. Now for qualitative, or discrete variable? Here we have when a certain variable takes on a finite number of numerical values, all right, categories or codes. When a variable takes upon a finite number of numerical values, categories or codes, all right, so we have that is that. So I would like us to stop here for tonight. It is pretty late. And I need us to go to rest, get some rest. And in our next class, we're going to be taking up from descriptive variables or descriptive statistics. I think 2 more classes we should be done with this course, or 3 classes max, because I can see some calculations. I might need to take out time and do some calculations. So 2 more classes or 3 more with this course. Thank you very much, everyone. I believe you've been able to learn something in tonight's class. Please, let's ensure to keep our notes up to date and submit them to the appropriate quarters. You have a wonderful evening and bye for now.